Don't just live for tomorrow, or just live in yesterday. Just be glad for all you have that's in today.
Hey everyone, Connie here, and welcome to my blind reaction to episode 1 of Disenchantment, the new series by Matt Groening, the creator of The Simpsons and Futurama. So, I know a little bit about the basic premise of the series going in, and a few little minor details, but I don't know big plot details or anything. I know that this series is about Princess Bean, a kind of unconventional princess who goes on this fantasy adventure. I know that she teams up with this little green elf dude named Elfo and a little black demon named Lucy. I know that the king is voiced by John DiMaggio, which no surprise he's in there since he's worked on Futurama and everything. I wouldn't be surprised if Billy West is in there either. Or since Simpsons, you could count that too. Maybe Hank Azaria. But I also know that Maurice LaMarche is in the show, and I don't know who he plays, but I know he's in it. So some pretty damn good voice actors. I don't really know any other details regarding, again, the plot or what happens in it. I have seen the trailers. I know there's I guess there's a prince or something who ends up getting impaled or something. I don't remember exactly. But it's I'm expecting the same kind of humor, more from Futurama than Simpsons, to be honest. Since this is on Netflix, and since it's able to get away with a lot more than if it were on TV, I'm definitely expecting more of a mature humor, but not in the same kind of way as you'd expect on something like Family Guy or Rick and Morty or something like that. I'm not expecting, the very vulgar, immature adult humor. The stuff that's honestly just really bad and stupid. I'm expecting, again, more of along the lines of Futurama, where there's definitely adult humor, but there's also going to be a lot of heart and a lot of maturity to it. Futurama, never my favorite show, but definitely one that has proven itself to be able to handle adult humor. Yes, it has definite stuff that's very risque, very vulgar even, but it handles it in a way where it's not too overboard, and they never go too far with it. They just really handle it well, which is rare for adult animation. Because again, most of those shows, again, Family Guy, South Park, Rick and Morty, they rely on overly vulgar humor that in the end just doesn't work, in my opinion. It's not funny, it's not clever, and it just comes across as childish. It's this is the kind of humor that is standard 6th, 7th grader humor. It's the kind of it's middle school dirty humor. It's the kind of humor you're supposed to grow out of. But again, with Simpsons, with Family Guy, or not Family Guy, with Simpsons, with Futurama, with Matt Groening shows, they tend to take that adult humor, dial it down a little bit, but still keep it decisively adult, but also make it more mature and more believable, more realistic, I guess you could say, less over the top and just overly vulgar for the sake of being vulgar. It's good adult humor. Now, I don't know if this is going to top shows like Last Man in terms of adult cartoons for me. I don't even know if it's going to top Futurama. But I will say this off the bat. I tend to be a fan of fantasy stories. I like that kind of thing more so than I like science fiction. I like fantasy. I like monsters and stuff. I like medieval knights and dragons and princesses. That kind of stuff has always appealed to me. which is why one of my favorite book series of all time is the Pennyroyal Academy series by M.A. Larson. Um, but in that kind of vein, I am definitely more interested in this. I like some sci-fi things, but this is definitely instantly more interesting to me than Futurama, just based on their premise alone. But Futurama was good. I really did enjoy Futurama. There were even episodes that made me straight up bawl. Not just cry, but bawl. Like Jurassic Bark, the episode with Fry's dog and everything. And then the episode, I don't remember what it was called, but the one with Fry's brother Yancey and the four-leaf clover and everything. Those two episodes made me lose it. I'm hoping that Disenchantment can do the same kind of thing. It can bring out those emotions, can bring out those feels, and make me just really fall in love with the characters and scenarios. I honestly have high hopes because, again, it's a Matt Groening adult cartoon. I have hopes that it's going to be good because I trust Matt Groening's cartoons. And they're not always great. There are bad episodes of Futurama, and Simpsons has... I mean, it's been on so long, it definitely has bad episodes and even bad seasons. But overall, I tend to enjoy them. So, I think I'm hopefully going to like this. But we're going to find out. So, when the screen fades to black, pause this redirect and go to the description below. Follow the link to the reaction, and after you watch it, come back here to the redirect and resume play. Because after it fades to black and then fades back in, everything from that point forward will be my afterthoughts, and will contain spoilers to the episode. So that being said, thank you so much for tuning in today, and I will see you at the reaction. And we are back, and we'll begin with spoilers in 3, 2, 1, now. So funny enough, I recorded these earlier. I just got home from the bar and everything, and I was just going to edit stuff before I went into the dishes and all. I noticed I forgot to record an outro, my afterthoughts for Disenchanted. How do I even do that? I don't think I've ever made that mistake before. So it's been hours since I watched it, but I still remember what happened. I'm going to try to keep my thoughts brief here. Just overall thoughts on the first episode of Disenchanted. I loved it. Matt Groening is back in full swing with this series. And it's definitely got the same vibe that Futurama has. Not so much Simpsons, but definitely Futurama. And I think he definitely has this vision with it. He wants to make Bean this like rebel princess type character who isn't going to just let someone tell her how to live her life or like what to do with herself. She wants to be her own free woman, and that's a great character type that you see in all of these different shows. I mean, Star Butterfly from Star vs. the Forces of Evil, another great example of that very specific trope, with her being a rebel princess as well. But the characters are just all great. Lucy's kind of what I expected him to be, which is the devil on the shoulder kind of character. He even kind of made that analogy, almost. I like how he's just pretty much the one just sticking with Bean and like telling her, do all this bad stuff. Fight, get into trouble, get drunk, stuff like that. And it's like, yeah, that's kind of exactly what I expected him to be like. Elfo is not what I expected him to be like at all. In a good way. Before I started the series, of course, I mentioned I knew a few things about it. I knew about the characters to a small degree and stuff because I had seen the trailers and whatnot. What I knew of Elfo, or what I thought I knew, is that he was going to be this dumb sidekick who was just, like, excessively happy all the time and excessively just okay with everything. All this bad stuff happens, he's just okay with it. That's what I kind of thought his character was going to be. Kind of on the level of he's just too dumb to realize that what's going on is bad. But he's actually quite different than that. He was living in this world where everything was nice and jolly and happy and everyone's singing and stuff. And he just wanted to get out and experience, like, true life. You know, like, not this fake, forced world of happiness. He wanted to experience strife. He wanted to face trouble. He wanted to see sadness and anger and all of these emotions that he never really got to see because he was kind of trapped in this bubble. He just wants to experience life for what it truly is, and that is well, I'm going to use a metaphor from a song I enjoy. Life's like a jump rope, up, down, up, down. And it is true. Life has its ups and downs. It has its high points and its low points. There are points where life makes you feel terrible, but there are points where it makes you feel great. And Elfo, he doesn't want to necessarily get rid of all of the good stuff. He just wants to feel the bad stuff too. He wants to experience life for what it's meant to be. And that's a good thing. That's actually, when you think about it, really deep. Because when you experience bad stuff, the good stuff always feels better when it comes. And yes, because of the good stuff, the bad stuff will sometimes feel worse. But overall, I think you need that combination of both. You need that balance. I've talked about balance in some other things as well. And I mean, heck, it's a big theme in Legend of Korra, my favorite show of all time. I also like a lot of the humor in this series, though. I like the joke with the first prince that Bean was being forced to marry. How he fell trying to pick up the thing and got impaled in the head, and it's like, no, I'm still alive. Can someone help me off of this? And the king just like throws the like cloth on him. It's like, shush, we're trying to have a wedding here. See, I like that kind of humor. That's some really good. That's the good stuff that you don't see in a lot of these adult cartoons, because a lot of the adult cartoons I mentioned before, like Rick and Morty, Family Guy, stuff like that, they tend to focus on the more vulgar stuff, constant F-bombs, sex-related humor, just the really immature stuff that just has never really hit it out of the park for me. In fact, it's not even just that. It's never really captured my interest almost at all. It's why I can't get into those kinds of shows. Or, well, in case of Family Guy, at least I hate that show. But there's other reasons for that, too. But then you have shows like this, or even like Last Man to a degree. Now, Last Man obviously had a lot less humor. It was definitely more action, supernatural, and serious. But with shows like this, it blends there is definitely adult humor. I mean, such as the point where Bean, where her father told her, it's like, take off those hobo clothes right now and go get in a real princess outfit, and she just like pulls off her top right there in front of him. And then as she's walking away, he's like, if anyone dares look at her, they're gonna get their head cut off. And then the one guy just comes in, hadn't heard anything. He's like, oh boy, did I look at her. And it's like, wait, what's going on? That's good adult humor. Because it's not over the top. It's not like trying too hard to be adult. And it feels more natural. It feels like, again, it just came out of the imagination, the thought processes when writing the show and writing the episode, rather than it being forced in just for the sake of vulgar humor. It's the same kind of humor that made Futurama so good. And again, as I said in my pre-thoughts, Futurama's not my favorite show by any means. And there are definitely parts of it that I find like really eye-roll worthy and even bad. But overall, it's one of the better adult cartoons out there. Same with The Simpsons. And it's for the same kind of reasons. They definitely include the adult humor, but they blend it well with more simple humor. The stuff that's just, I'm not going to say like general audience level of humor, but just more basic standard stuff. The stuff that doesn't really have a specific age range or whatnot. It's hard to describe. You get what I'm talking about, though. The episode was, it felt a little long. Not too long, but a little long. It was 36 minutes long, and maybe it's just because I'm not used to watching shows that have 36 minutes, especially cartoons. I mean, there's a couple live action shows I watch that are upwards of an hour long, Breaking Bad, Supernatural. But with cartoons, usually they only go up to like 21, 22 minutes. with the exception of some anime and stuff that have double length episodes here and there. Um, but with a cartoon, it's just unusual to have this kind of length, 36-minute length. That's weird. But again, it didn't feel like it was too long. The pacing was still good with the timing. It just, again, it was just kind of a little off for me just because I'm not used to it. The voice acting was phenomenal, but they have really good voice actors in it. John DiMaggio, Maurice LaMarche, Tress MacNeille. This girl, by the way, I did mention at the end of my reaction, I think I was going to try to look up Bean's voice actress. I don't remember her full name, but it was Abby something, and she's done very little. And definitely nothing I would know her from. So, and I wasn't looking her up just to see if I knew the voice, because I didn't think she sounded familiar. I just was wondering if I did happen to know it. But yeah, there's some interesting side characters as well. It just has a really fun story. I love the medieval setting. Like I mentioned before, I've always been more into fantasy than like sci-fi or whatnot, so it's definitely my wheelhouse. Yeah, just overall, it was a really great kickoff to this series. I really can't wait to see more of this, and honestly, I think this could easily be one of my favorite adult cartoons if it continues down this path. So yeah, tell me your thoughts on Disenchanted Episode 1 in the comments below. What did you think of Bean? What did you think of Elfo and the, honestly, depth behind his character? And what did you think of the just really interesting concept for the story? Tell me your thoughts on all of that and more in the comments below, and thank you so much for tuning in. For now, I'm Connie, and I'm signing off. See you all next time.
And though you've come through many obstacles, shed tears along the way, you're still standing.